Living Color from the Radio What Studios, and this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I send you? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. This week's shows, I'll be at the RAB in Conway, Arkansas on Friday night, my usual Friday night gig, the place to be. Now, this time it lands on September 11th, so I'll probably do a little memorial thing, be all American. Have you forgotten? Do you remember? Yes, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so Friday night at the RAB, Conway, Arkansas, video dance party, karaoke jam, full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. In fact, there's a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to make some money or try to make some money on a Friday night while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me, I encourage you to check out the pool tournament Friday nights at the RAB, Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until about 1 in the a.m. Yeah, and we're keeping each other safe. We got masks on as we walk in the door, hand sanitizer. While you're walking around and interacting with people, wear the mask. And while you're sitting down having your drinky drinks and eating that good food, you can pull the mask down a little bit and get at your eating hole. Yeah. All right. And also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, September 10th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Trump says he wanted to play down deadliness of coronavirus. President Trump privately acknowledged in February that he knew the coronavirus pandemic posed a serious public health threat, even as he publicly said it was no worse than a seasonal flu and would soon disappear. According to a new book by Washington Post associate editor Bob Woodward, quote, "You just breathe the air and that's how it's passed," end quote, Trump said in a February 7th call, according to Woodward. Quote, "It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flu. This is deadly stuff," end quote. Woodward wrote that Trump made the remark 10 days after being told by National Security Advisor Robert C. O'Brien in a briefing that the pandemic would, quote, "be the biggest national security threat you face in your presidency," end quote. Trump told Woodward he knew the danger, but, quote, "wanted to always play it down," end quote, to avoid creating a panic. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 2, West Coast wildfires rage on, killing 6. Wildfires continue to sweep through the Pacific Northwest and California on Wednesday, killing at least 6 people. Oregon Governor Kate Brown, Democrat, said fires in her state destroyed hundreds of homes. Quote, "This could be the greatest loss of human life and property due to wildfire in our state's history," end quote, Brown said. Fires wiped out one small town and trapped some firefighters and civilians. In Washington state, 1 child died in the Cold Springs fire, the largest in the state. Numerous fires continued to burn in California, where more acres have burned this year than in any other fire season on record. In Butte County, where 85 people died last year in the state's deadliest fire on record, the remains of 3 people were found Wednesday. This is according to the Associated Press and NBC News. Number 3, whistleblower. DHS leaders told officials to downplay Russian meddling. A former Homeland Security intelligence official, Brian Murphy, said in a whistleblower complaint released Wednesday that 2 top political appointees in the department told career officials to modify intelligence assessments to pursue President Trump's agenda. Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf allegedly said to stop providing assessments on Russia's efforts to interfere in U.S. elections, and instead focus on the threat of political interference by China and Iran. O'Brien also said career officials were told to downplay white supremacist activity. The White House and the Homeland Security Department denied the allegations. White House spokesperson Sarah Matthews said O'Brien had, quote, never sought to dictate the intelligence community's focus on threats to the integrity of our elections, end quote. She called Murphy's claims, quote, false and defamatory, end quote. This is according to Reuters and CNN. Number 4, GOP senators skeptical about coronavirus relief bill's chances. Top Republican senators expressed doubt on Wednesday that they could pass a new bipartisan coronavirus relief package before the November election. Talks with Democrats have broken down. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, said he was, quote, optimistic, end quote, that his fellow Republicans would get behind a reduced $500 billion COVID-19 relief proposal in a Thursday test vote. But Democrats, who are calling for a much larger package, have said they would block the GOP plan as inadequate. Quote, unless something really broke through, it's not going to happen, end quote, said Senator Richard Shelby, Republican Alabama, chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Barring a breakthrough, senators are expected to pass legislation to avoid a federal shutdown and return to home to campaign. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 5, more than 500,000 U.S. children have tested positive for COVID-19. The number of children who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 in the United States reportedly has surpassed 500,000. The American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association says the number of child cases of COVID-19 has risen to 513,415, following a 16% increase from August 20th through September 3rd. The report says that 103 children have died due to the COVID-19. COVID-19 cases among children represent almost 10% of the cases in the United States. While severe illness from COVID-19 among children is less common, it's unclear whether there are long-term effects from the virus. These numbers come in as many students across the country begin their school year. This is according to CBS News and CNN. Number 6, Norwegian lawmaker nominates Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. An anti-immigrant Norwegian lawmaker, Christian Tybin-Gjedde, said Wednesday he had nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for his role in brokering a peace agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Israel. The two countries agreed last month to normalize relations. They are planning a September 15th signing at the White House that Tybin-Gjedde said, quote, opens up for possible peace in the Middle East, end quote. Tybin-Gjedde and other Norwegian lawmakers Another Norwegian lawmaker nominated Trump in 2018 for his effort to foster reconciliation between North and South Korea. Any lawmaker in a national legislature has the right to make a Peace Prize nomination. Former President Barack Obama won the award in 2009, just months into his first term, for seeking, quote, peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons, end quote, the Norwegian committee said. This is according to Fox News and the Associated Press. Number 7, Biden raised far more than Trump in August. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden outraised President Trump by more than $154 million last month, eroding Trump's once massive edge. Biden and the Democratic National Committee bought in $364.5 million in August, while Trump and the GOP collected just $210 million. Republican officials said they had spent heavily and early to build a grassroots network to get voters to the polls. Quote, both campaigns are raising massive amounts of money, but have very different priorities about how to spend it, end quote. Trump campaign manager Bill Stevens said in a comment. Biden's side has bombarded the airwaves with ads in a bid to overshadow the Trump campaign, as it briefly suspended TV advertising last month in key states while attention focused on the two parties' nominating conventions. This is according to CNN. Number 8, Trump releases another short list of potential Supreme Court nominees. President Trump on Wednesday released a list of 20 more people he would consider nominating to the Supreme Court. The list includes 3 well-known conservative senators: Ted Cruz, Republican Texas; Tom Cotton, Republican Arkansas; and Josh Hawley, Republican Missouri. Hawley said he wasn't interested. Cotton and Cruz said it was an honor to be considered. The list also includes more traditional potential nominees, including Carlos Muñiz of the Florida Supreme Court and Bridget Bade of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The 20 names add to Trump's previous list of 25 judges. Trump reportedly considers his 2 high court appointments, Justice Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, among his greatest successes, and sees his commitment to nominating more conservatives given the chance to be critical in his re-election bid. This is according to Fox News and the New York Times. Number 9, mall operators Simon and Brookfield to acquire JCPenney stores. JCPenney reached a deal to sell its retail businesses to Simon Property Group and Brookfield Property Partners, averting a liquidation. The 2 mall owners will pay $300 million in cash and assume $500 million in debt. Lawyers for the department store chain said in a bankruptcy court hearing on Wednesday. With the sale, which values JCPenney at $1.75 billion, the retailer is, quote, in a position to do exactly what we set out to do in the very beginning of these cases, and that is to preserve 70,000 jobs, a tenant for landlords, a vendor partner, and a company that has been around for more than a century, end quote. Lawyer Joshua Sussberg said JCPenney filed for bankruptcy protection in May, the biggest retailer to do so in the coronavirus crisis. This is according to the New York Times. Number 10, Kool and the Gang co-founder Ronald Bell dies at 68. Kool and the Gang co-founder Ronald Callis Bell died Wednesday at his home in the U.S. Virgin Islands, his publicist said. He was 68. The cause of death was not released. Bell formed the group with his brother, Robert Kool Bell, in the 1960s, and the ensemble scored a string of hits in the 1970s and the 1980s, including Celebration, Jungle Boogie, and Ladies' Night, all written or co-written by Bell. A self-taught musician, he played saxophone, sang, and produced the band. Between 1970 and 2013, Kool and the Gang released 23 studio albums, moving from jazz roots to funk and soul in the 1970s, and with the addition of vocalist James J.T. Taylor in 1979, chart-topping pop. The group won 2 Grammys and sold 70 million albums. This is according to Rolling Stone and the Associated Press. That's 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, September 10th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're doing reasonably well. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you're up to. Like, subscribe, all that kind of thing. I'm just trying to get smarter, trying to keep up with current events. And while I'm at it, might as well talk into this microphone, look at this camera, and get you involved as well. If you have anything to add, I encourage you to drop me some comments for sure. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. And if you like streaming games, if you like watching people play online games, I encourage you to check me out there. Something new. KeysDAN Gaming. Find it everywhere using the hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Like, subscribe, all that kind of thing. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.